Hello and welcome to Aughton Math. In this edition of Aughton Math, we have three problems to work on that involve the use of trig ratios. All right, so let's take a look at the first one. We have an observer on a cliff, 100 decimeters above sea level, and that person sights two ships due east. The angles of depression of the ships are 47 degrees and 32 degrees respectively. I'm going to find the nearest decimeter the distance between the two ships. So I have my observer here, line of sight, I have the horizontal, I make my angle of depression with the horizontal and the line of sight. I have two angles of depression, one at 32 degrees spots the ship that's further out, and then one at 47 spots the ship that's further in towards the shore. Now we need to figure out what the distance between the two ships is. So this distance here x and this distance here x, let's say plus y. So let's go take a look at the equations. Now, if we're looking at the angle of depression, what I like to do is I like to create these triangles using the fact that we have two alternate interior angles. I create the angle in question as 47 degrees. So I'm working with these two triangles inside of the area here. So this triangle here, and then of course this triangle here. So let's take a look at the equations that we get from this. So I know that the tangent of 32 degrees, so we need to find out first what we're trying to accomplish. We need to find the adjacent side, and we have the opposite side, so we're going to use tangent. I know the tangent of 32 degrees is equal to 1,000 over some question mark, the length here. And then we're going to subtract the tangent of 47, which is equal, and we're trying to find out the question mark here. We're going to subtract the length of the question mark, or the distance between the ship that's closer in to shore. And hopefully I made sense. So again, we're going to take the distance, which is a question mark, of the ship that's further out, and then we're going to subtract the distance of the ship that's further in, and then we're going to find out what that difference is going to be. All right, and here are the two equations that we're working with, and we want to try to find out the question mark, which is the distance from the shore to the respective ships. Okay, so the two equations, tangent of 32 is equal to 1,000 over the distance to the ship that's further out. We solve for the question mark, it's equal to 1,000 over the tangent of 32, and you're going to need to use your calculator for this, or use a trig table, and you'll find out that the distance, or distance 1, is going to be equal to 1,600 decimeters. Then we take the second equation, tangent of 47 is equal to 1,000 over the distance to the ship that's closer in. We find out that that distance is going to be 1,000 over the tangent of 47 degrees. We find out the distance is 932.5 decimeters. So the difference between the two is going to be 667 or 668 decimeters between the two ships. So one is 1,600 meters out, the other is 1,600 decimeters out, the other is 932 decimeters out. So it leaves us with a balance between the two ships of about 668 decimeters. Okay, next question. We're going to find the height. We have a mountain, and the height is PB, and we have two identified points, one in which from point A we see the angle of elevation is 30 degrees to the top of the mountain, and then we move 1 kilometer closer to the mountain, and we find that the angle of elevation now changes to 35 degrees. All right, so we have 35 degrees and 30 degrees. We have some relationship on the adjacent side, and now we want to find the opposite side. So again, we're going to use tangent to solve our problems. All right, so we're going to set up the equation. The first is, I know that the height PB is, we'll say the question mark, the tangent of 30 degrees, which is the opposite over adjacent, is equal to the question mark, and we'll say this distance here is going to be x, and this distance here we've identified as 1 kilometer. So the tangent of 30 degrees is equal to the opposite side over the adjacent side, which is x plus 1. So the distance is equal to tangent of 30 degrees times x plus 1. Similarly, we have the tangent of 35 degrees is equal to the question mark over x. And now we're going to use our calculators to figure out the value for x. So I say the tangent of 30 degrees is equal to 0.577 times x plus 1, which is equal to tangent of 35 degrees times x, or 0.7 times x. That gives me 0.577x plus 0.577, which is equal to 0.7x. We solve for x and we get x is equal to 4.69 kilometers. Now we have to go back to our original drawing, and we see if x is 4.69 kilometers, I have a value here for my adjacent side. All I need to do is solve for my opposite side. All right. So now I have the tangent of 35 degrees is equal to the height over 4.69, so the opposite over the hypotenuse. Solving for that height, I see that that height is equal to tangent of 35 times 4.69, or 3.28 kilometers, and that's how high that given mountain is. All right, moving on to the last problem. We need to find the slope of line H and then find the measure of angle 1 to the nearest integer. So here's line H, and then here is line 1. And we're going to find the slope of line H first. And we see that we have a difference here between these 2 points. My slope of line H is equal to the change in the y value, which is 4 minus 0, over the change in the x value, which is 11 minus 5. So that gives us a change of 4 over 6, or a slope of 2 over 3. Now we need to find the measure of angle 1 to the nearest integer. So we're going to use our trig tables. We're going to say the change here is 2 over 3. It's actually 4 over 6. We're going to use 2 over 3. And we're going to again use tangent. It's the opposite over the adjacent side. So I know the tangent of the measure in question, or the angle in question, angle 1, also say angle 1, is equal to 2 over 3. All right, so we need to look to our trig tables, or we can use inverse tangent to solve. Either way will work. And when we look to our trig tables or use inverse tangent, we see that we get a result of approximately 33.7 degrees. And it's asking us to solve to the nearest integer. So the angle measure for angle 1 is equal to 34 degrees. All right, so when you use tangent, inverse tangent, what you're going to do is you're going to type in tangent, this is inverse tangent, is equal to, or excuse me, in parentheses 2 over 3. So instead of putting the angle measure, you're putting the side length relationship. The side length relationship will give you the angle measure. In this case, if you type that into your calculator, see it's 33.7 degrees. So I can say then that the tangent of 33.7 degrees is equal to 2 over 3. So this is how inverse tangent works. Inverse tangent works when you have the side length relationship, you're trying to find out the angle measure. Otherwise, you're using tangent straight ahead. You find the tangent of a given angle measure and you find the side length relationship. All right, that's it for these set of problems for trigonometry and for the balance of the chapter.